Not quite. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order of the Special Council meeting for Monday, July 31st, 2017. This is meeting number 11, and in the absence of Mayor Joyner and Councillor Trombetta, who send their regrets, my name is Cheryl Ganan, and I'll be chairing this meeting tonight. First of all, I'll ask if there is any member of council who has a pecuniary interest or a conflict of interest method, something that they need to disclose. Seeing none, we'll move on to other business, and that puts you, Mr. Julian, up. The Director of Public Works and Engineering, road resurfacing Elko Road, and a verbal update.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor, and good evening to you and all the members of council. And certainly like to thank everybody for the short notice meeting. As a result of last week's council resolution for the rehabilitation of the roads that were impacted by the wind energy project, staff has since commenced on drafting the tender package. We've also had a chance to review the contract with local contractors and review their work schedule for the remainder of 2017. Looking at the tender circulation timing and the remaining council meeting dates required to approve, it was becoming apparent that it was going to be difficult to complete the road resurfacing works in 2017. Staff will be moving forward with the tender process in 2017 with the hopes of getting some of the work out, but the completion of 2018 will more likely be required. Pushing the contract through this year, and if the works were possible, would most likely result in higher costs due to the contractor's scheduling, trying to squeeze that work into their busy schedule. In the case of surface treatment, and the time of year being probably October or November, this would also likely affect the quality of the works, because you do need a certain amount of heat and the traffic after it's placed to work that in. However, at the January 2017 council meeting, council approved the surface treatment contract for South Grimsby Road 5 and two smaller roads. Staff has contacted the contractor for this project and has been assured that Elko Road could be added to this contract and be completed this year. Works would likely begin in September on Elko Road and with an estimated completion time of 3 weeks. The contractor has confirmed that the current tender prices under that project are consistent with the estimates that were provided for the budget for this road. And therefore, staff are recommending proceeding with the road rehabilitation of Elko Road under the previously approved tender PW 2017-01 for the additional amount of $325,000 plus HST in order to complete the repairs on Elko Road in 2017.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Julian, for that report. Councillor Bilsma, you have the resolution?
Moved by myself. Soon to be seconded by Councillor Bell. That the Director of Public Works and Engineering be and is hereby authorized to provide written confirmation to Anthony's Excavating Central Incorporated that the rehabilitation of Elko Road from Regional 27 to Heathcliff Road at an estimated cost of $325,000 plus HSC is hereby accepted and approved and to be added to the 2017 road surface treatment tender, which tender was previously approved by council on January 23rd under report number RFDPW-03-2017 road treatment tender authorization and bylaw 2017-07, and that the council hereby waives the section 4.5 of the township's tendering and purchasing policy POL-T-01-2015 and any other related sections, and hereby authorizes and approves the rehabilitation of portions of Elko Road in the 2017 by Anthony's Excavating Central Inc.
Okay, councillors, you've heard the resolution. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Rayner first, please.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. Through you to the Director of Public Works. Two things that have kind of confused me. Number one, you said the projects that are on the book for 2017, it appears, may not get finished in 2017. Is there a reason for that? Is there a late start, or what is the problem? The rain?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner. No, there must have miscommunicated that. The 2017 road rehabilitation works will get done. That was the projects that we discussed last week, the 3 roads, and that's what we wanted to add to the wind energy restoration project, the Elko Road portion, to that. What I believe or understand is that the 2017 wind energy road rehabilitation would be very, very difficult to get those works out. So when we were looking, because by the time we go to tender, you're looking at September.
So that's, through you, that's totally separate thing from the other 3 is what you're referring to.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, yes.
Okay, through you to the deputy, then Elko then would be added on at no additional cost. You said you also said prior to that that there was a tight schedule and they're trying to fit it in and the costs would be reflective of this. Is that reflective at Elko Road, or is that accepted based on what happened in January?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, no. What I was trying to explain was that our original estimates for Elko Road was $325,000, and we've checked with the contractor of this current contract, and the numbers are lining up, so we're positive that we can get that done for that amount.
Okay, through you again, Madam Chair. So this Elko Road was part of the wind project that was scheduled to be done later. We're moving it up ahead, and that's why you're saying that we have to do some manipulation here and bypass a couple of the normal procedures that the township goes through, tendering and all the rest, in order to allow this to happen in 2017. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, yes, recognizing the importance of Elko Road to the public. That road was originally pulverized to make it safe for the winter, so they've gone under a little bit of extra duress. You'll recall some of them were here at the last council meeting, so we're just bumping that portion of it up from the road, from the wind energy road rehabilitation over to this approved tender contract.
And through you, and the costing for that was done in January with the proposal, so you already knew what the cost would be. You were just hoping that the contractor was going to hold that price?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, we were aware of the contract price in January. Not sure if I'm understanding your question. When we did the estimates for the road restoration, because prices change all the time, subject to market forces, we had checked with many of the local providers for that. So we double checked our costs with that tender price, and the contractor is willing to take that work on.
And that's at, through you, that's at 235,000?
320.
320,000? For how much of a length?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, that is 3.2 kilometers.
Oh. So it's almost 100,000 a kilometer. That's tar and chip, through you.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, that is a surface street or tar and chip. Included in those works are additional gravel and that you have to put in place, which is what we've been doing with most of our rehabilitation.
One final question, Madam Chair. When they were doing roads in Ward 1 way back when we used to do them on a regular basis and turn them into nice roads, the tar and chipping was done somewhere around 180,000 a kilometer, and you're getting this done for around 100,000 a kilometer. Is that raising the level of the road? Is that putting new culverts in and everything?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Rayner, no, we are replacing on all our rehabs. We're obviously replacing cross culverts that are required. That's it. We're not raising the road.
Okay, that's why.
This road was previously a surface street road, so.
Oh, okay, we just bring it back to what it was before. Thank you, that's all I have, thank you at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Chichok?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And welcome to the chair. This is a whole new way of having to look up to you. Through you, I guess just a couple of questions. You're saying Elko Road, the road resurfacing, and in the other report that we looked at, it was both east and west of Port Davidson. So is this the entirety of Port Davidson from Caister-Gainsborough Town Line to, I can't remember what the road was at the other end. Port Elko Road. That's the only one we're talking about, right? Okay.
To you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Chichok, no, this project, which was the same, the length hasn't changed, is from Hayslip Road to Regional Road 27 or Wellandport Road.
Right. So, pardon me?
I think you said Port Davidson, so are you on the right part of the municipality?
No, Port Davidson Road, Elko goes right along, right?
Yeah.
Elko Road goes right along. It hits Port Davidson, it goes through Port Davidson, and it goes right across. It's not tar and chip all the way through. It's not surface treated at all. And this says road resurfacing, Elko Road. And knowing the entire ward that I serve, that part is gravel. And I don't want this motion to somehow confuse the people who've been calling me and saying they're going to get their road upgraded. So they live on Elko, okay? And they live between Caister-Gainsborough Town Line and Port Davidson. There is also an Elko Road between Port Davidson and Highway 27, and there's between 27 to Hayslip. So I want it real clear what part we're doing, because I think there's a little group cheering out there somewhere right now. So we're talking just Hayslip. Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like Mr. Julian to confirm what it is we're doing.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Chichok. Yes, the report we presented last week, the schedule was in there that correctly identified it, Elko Road from Hayslip Road to Regional Road 27. We can, I'm looking at the clerk to adjust the resolution, but
I would appreciate that. While I
and
know
I
what it was that was
understand
intended, I got a phone call earlier today from someone who was along the gravel part, thinking that they were included. So I'm just making sure we're very careful. And now my second question, Madam Deputy Mayor, is along that same line. In the original report that came to us in June, there were two pieces of Elko that were to be repaired, that were to be treated. And are those contained within the Hayslip to 27 section? Or is there still a section that is to be completed outside of what it is you're suggesting tonight, Julian?
through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Chichok, I'm trying to call up the original report, but I believe what you're referring to is there were sections of Elko that were in the gravel section.
Right.
There was a separate schedule in there.
Right. And so, Mr. Julian, when were those intended to be? They were included in the amount, right? I hope you understand what it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of the sheet.
It is in the bottom of the sheet. It was included in the number. It was gravel. It was gravel-treated road. It was included in the number that we approved. We're only dealing tonight with Elko Road. We're dealing with the surface treatment to bring it back, as Councillor Rayner has pointed out before. We're not taking out the culverts. We're not doing anything unusual. But the gravel-treated part of Elko, which the mayor asked me last week to read out because there was some confusion in the room, from the report for clarity, that gravel-treated portion is still to be done, just not this year. Is that correct, Mr. Julian, through you, Madam Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Chichok, that is absolutely correct. That would be done under the stone section. The other section of Elko Road was from Keeser Gainesville Town Line to Port Davidson.
That's the piece I was talking
And
about.
that will,
Or my
that was a
colleague didn't
stone
think I was in the
road,
right
will
world.
remain a stone road, will be restored as a stone road.
So it will be done, it's included, and it will be done, through you, Madam Deputy Mayor. It's for 2018.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councilor Chichuk, what we're planning on doing is still proceeding with the tender and getting it out this year, but having a completion date of 2018. That will allow the contractors a lot of flexibility, and we're hoping good prices because they won't be in that pressure to get works completed by, say, November 15th or something, right? So we won't know until we tender if they will do any of it this year. That will depend on their schedule, but we've talked to the contractors, and certainly carrying that over looks like a very positive for pricing, because they'll be guaranteed, whoever gets that will be guaranteed a certain amount of work in the spring to start.
So, Madam Chair, just for clarity's sake, I ask again through you that the monies that were redirected last week to one, that were to be in the 2018 budget for roads that predictably, because in your multi-year capital budget, you put some roads that would be done by this very tender. Meant it would happen twice. Once with the monies that we were going to use this year, and once because it appeared in your multi-year capital budget as a 2018 expenditure. Last week, we agreed that we would take that money that has been predictably put there for 2018, and we'd assign that to other roads because we wouldn't need it done twice. None of this changes with what it is you're proposing into tonight's budget, does it? Or tonight's motion?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councilor Chichuk, you are correct. All this really is doing, we had portions of Port Davidson and Keeser Gainesville Town Line and South Chippewa scheduled for 2018. Those, I believe, are the roads you're doing. Nothing will have changed from the resolution from last week. This is just simply taking that portion of Elko Road, or the road restoration, and
Advancing.
it's a way to get it completed this year and help with the situation for the residents out there.
Thank you. And Madam Deputy Mayor, I do this for clarity because last week there was perhaps, it wasn't as clear to some as it was to others, just like Mr. Julian and Councilor Rayner had a bit of a misunderstanding about the way they were talking. And I want to make sure that everyone who takes the time to listen to tonight's meeting is going to find out that, one, none of the roads that were put forward by staff in the original report of June that had been postponed to October's meeting and then brought back, none of them have changed. Any duplicate money will be moved to Ward 1 next year, and that's a separate issue. Tonight's meeting is to advance, to include Elko Road in the tender that was done at the early part of the year, and that the contractor is going to hold prices like he did at the beginning of the year, and everybody will be happy, and Elko will be done this year, hopefully, and the gravel part next year. Am I right? Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councilor Chichuk, that is.
Madam Chair, I'm having a problem. I don't understand. There's two meetings going on here, and it's been going on since I started speaking. Okay, so if you want, you can ask me the question when I'm done. I apologize, but, well, no, you're not. But anyway, sorry, Mr. Julian.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councilor Chichuk, that is correct. Nothing changes with the plan. We're just attaching Elko Road to this 17 road restoration project.
Thank you. That's the end of my questions for now.
Councillor Bell.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the clerk. Can we, for those that don't understand the reason we're here tonight for Elko Road, we discussed it last week, we know why we're here. Can we have clarity on what section of road is being done specifically on Elko Road, what is being done to Elko Road, and why it's being done, and what the cost is going to be? So can we change the resolution to say such?
Through you to members of council, perhaps I could direct that to Mr. Julian, who could clarify, and maybe we could extend the description of the road. So it does say rehabilitation of Elko from Region Road 27 to Heaslip Road. It's all, that entire section, and but it's excluding gravel through you. And do we need to clarify to state that? That's a surface treatment, right?
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to the acting CAO and clerk. That is correct, and it does specify correctly the section that we are going to surface treat from Region Road 27 to Hayslip Road. I guess the only thing we could add to that is the exclusion of the remainder of Elko, if that makes any sense, but I think it's all there now.
Clear there.
It's at 27 to Heaslip.
It actually, if I could interject, is very clear what the section is in the resolution, but it was a very long resolution, and it was at the beginning of a lot of discussion, so perhaps that got overlooked in the process. It does also include the cost, so it is there, Councillor Bell, if that satisfies your concerns. Councillor Billsma, did you wish to speak?
Well, I might as well. Yeah.
You might as well, good.
Might as well. Look, I meant no disrespect. So I apologize at the outset. We kind of got off on a tangent and wrong. I know we wanted to do this really, really quick. So my apologies to Councillor Chichok. I think one of the reasons that we can just get away with, quote unquote, doing the surface treatment is because the road was previously paved. The culverts were previously repaired when it was paved, and I don't know the date of that, but it wasn't too long ago. It wasn't decades ago. It was just a few short years ago, to my recollection. And so the gravel's there, the base is there. It was just pulverized because it had broken up sufficiently. And so in that sense, it's just to that surface treatment condition, and so all we have to do is the surface treatment condition, which is why, to your point, we're getting what appears to be more bang for our buck, or more distance for the kilometer, or less value for, or less price for the kilometer, because it's just that, the tar, the gravel, and then my understanding is they do that twice, and they put a different type of grit on it the second time for like a seal coat. Is that correct? Through you to the director.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Bilesma. Yes, the pulverization was done on our behalf, I guess, if you will, by the Wind Energy Corporation as a manner of making the road safe for the winter. It was in that kind of deplorable condition that it would have been problematic. So we are saving on that. There was also a lot of ditch work that was done by the Wind. Things that we normally are putting into a road rehabilitation project. And it's a double surface treatment, so you're sort of correct. A micro seal would come after. That would be an additional. We've traditionally been not doing that yet because we're still trying to get caught up on our regular road rehab. But it's in essence a full surface treat layer and then another one.
Okay, yeah, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Rayner?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that initially, last month, Councillor Trombetta brought proposals to an amendment that wanted to get some work done in Ward 1. And that resulted in a delay or postponement of the whole projects of all kinds until October of 2017, which I said at the time, if we didn't get going on stuff, we were going to lose 2017. Councillor Trombetta did not bring anything forward to try to underhand or do anything to affect Ward 2. It's just a misunderstanding of the fact of what was capital that was in the budget and what was coming operation to cover it. So we're not going to do the roads twice. The money that's available was what Councillor Trombetta wanted to get going because we wanted to get something done. And then after that, Councillor Bell, I believe, brought forward reconsideration in order to bring it back. And at that point, we discussed it further that we needed to do something. And that's when the people came forward and said Elko Road needed to be done, especially when one gentleman said he had to stop because of the dust. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to drive without running over children. That's when this council, to me, turns around and looks at things. I know debate is what we always do. Debate's what everybody likes, and deferring it to October continues a debate. But sometimes you gotta, so to say, crap or get off the pot. When people come and they need your help, and you're elected to represent them, and you're here to work on their behalf, and we're in a position where we can do something, this is when we come together. This is when we get something done. They were crying for help, they needed assistance, it was dangerous. So now we're doing something. And I'm here tonight on behalf of my area to support something in another area because I want to get roads done. The more we get done, the safer it is for the people out there. When they come here and tell us that there's concerns and problems, it's up to us to try to work the system to make it work. And that's exactly what we did this time. We did exactly what I was hoping we were doing, and I'm hoping we continue this for the rest of our mandate, is to continue to aggressively look at situations that need to be done and utilize the authorities that was given to us as elected people to represent the taxpayers to get things done. Debate's healthy, but people want to see something too. And this is what we're doing right now. We're listening to the public. We're listening to people who elected us. It makes me feel good to come here tonight and to see this project move forward ahead of schedule because we listened to the people who elected us, that trusted us, that we were going to listen to their wants and needs. And this is exactly what we're doing tonight. To me, this is exactly what we're about. Debate's fine, but we finally are doing some action. And that's better. And I'm proud of the council for moving in the direction that we're on instead of deferring it to October and wasting a whole year. We could have got things done. It's great. It feels wonderful. I'm proud of everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gichon.
Councillor Rayner couldn't have said it, I couldn't have said it better than Councillor Rayner just did. But I do believe that council must act carefully, and we must take the appropriate time to let that debate happen. And we must listen to each other, and we must have respect for one another. And I think that the original motion brought out some political frustration, and I'm glad now that we are making the right decision at the right time to advance and to take advantage of pricing. But I think that it's also important that we make the right decision the first time, and that tonight, I would have been much happier if I'd had a copy of this resolution. The clerk assures me that we will have copies to all of us, because that is what makes it clear. Last week, on reconsideration, we would have had a much healthier debate had we all had the resolution a little earlier on. I think that what this is doing for us is this will bring us back to the table as a group that supports each other, that trusts each other, that is willing to work with each other, and for the first time, on the right things. We'll all get the same information at the same time. We can't not have it all at the same time, because that causes mistrust, and then we go off on our tangents. And I believe in June, it was difficult for some of us to catch up to what it was that was being proposed. And it was a windstorm. I believe Councillor Trombetta didn't realize the wholeness of what he was doing, but he suggested we go off, tender, and not come back to award the tender at council, which made it sound like it was just a skid storm right through council. So tonight, the clerk is making the appropriate wording changes, and I appreciate that. From now on, when we have motions that are going to be brought forward, I hope that we have a copy of it before us, and we've learned from that. And I also hope that when this is awarded, if it doesn't meet, if we aren't going to hold prices, that would come back with a report to this council, so that we have a process that's established and that we follow and we plan to follow. But so if he doesn't keep his price, I want to know about it. But I do have to say that tonight I see as the start of a closing chapter for this term of council, to work together, to have all the information, and to listen to one another, and to allow for the appropriate debate, so we don't cut each other off and we do get the answers we need and do it right the first time. Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
That's a bit of a mouthful, but thank you very much for your comments. Anything further from anyone? Okay. I would like to just add something then before we put this to the vote. And I want to say that I was frustrated in June. I felt that we had a wonderful report that was backed by science and engineering practices, and we didn't really, because of an interjection, I felt, of amendment, we didn't get to vote on that original proposal that was put forward by Mr. Julian and his staff. And so I regretted that. And then I wasn't here when it came back, and I regretted that very much, and I felt that, as I watched it on YouTube, that in actual fact, I agreed very much with Councillor Chichok and Councillor Bilsma, who brought forward the notion that they weren't ready to vote on a reconsideration of that when they didn't know what the future amendment was going to be. And so I think the whole issue of having an amendment, if there is to be one, or even the overall resolution on something as important as this, so that we all have a copy of that, is fair. And the further comment I'd like to make is that I know that sometimes that we had a little bit of chit chatter here tonight with people not understanding, Councillor Chichok, and why you were asking so many questions about what exact portion of Elko Road. But sitting back at home, watching that without having been at the meeting and having heard the exact details, and certainly having nothing in writing in front of me, I was not sure exactly what portion of the road we were talking about. And so if I didn't know, I'm sure there were lots of people who might watch that and wonder too what the heck they're talking about, or get excited thinking their road was going to be done. So I think a lot has come out of tonight. I think a lot of good things have come out in terms of listening to each other and talking to each other, and making sure that we are all sort of kicking with the same foot as we move forward to get things done in the township. So thank you both for your comments. And in terms of the fact that we're working together, I think that's why I decided to run in the first place, because to me, it looked like the township had suddenly a council that was listening and talking to each other, and then we seemed to get off track for a little while. So I'm pleased to see that we feel that we're getting back on track and moving the business forward. And I guess my final comment has to do with thanking staff for being here tonight, as well as councillors, because with the supposedly lighter summer schedule of meetings, that hasn't exactly happened. And so I thank you all for being here so that we can move the business of the township forward. So thank you. And having said that, anything further from anybody? Then do we need to reread this? Do we want to?
It's not a minute, just for clarification.
It's already on there.
Do you want to do the clarification? Do you want to read that?
No, it's already on there.
Okay.
Through you, members of council, in fact, there is no amendment to the motion because as it reads is exactly the section we're doing, but I'll read it just to make sure everybody understands.
Okay, thank you.
That the Director of Public Works and Engineering be and is hereby authorized to provide written confirmation to Anthony's Excavating Central, Inc., that the rehabilitation of Elko Road from Regional Road 27 to Heaslip Road at an estimated cost of $325,000 plus HST is hereby accepted and approved and is to be added to the 2017 road surface treatment tender, which tender was previously approved by Council on January 23, 2017 under report number RFD PW 03-2017, entitled 2017 Road Surface Treatment Tender Authorization and Bylaw 2017-07. And the Council hereby waives Section 4.5 of the Township's Tendering and Purchasing Policy POL TO1 2015 and any other related sections, and hereby authorizes and approves the rehabilitation of portions of Elko Road in 2017 by Anthony's Excavating Central, Inc.
Okay. You've heard the resolution. All those in favor? Okay, this motion carries. Okay, so, are you ready? I will declare that this meeting has adjourned at the hour of 7:35. Thank you for coming. Good night.
So Brent, I just sent you an email.